Have you ever stayed silent when you wanted to speak, only to walk away replaying the moment in your mind, wishing you had the courage to act differently? That heavy feeling of regret sits in your chest, and you wonder why it always seems easier for others to stand tall while you shrink into the background. You see people walk into a room with presence, speak with conviction, live with certainty, and deep down you know you are capable of the same, but something holds you back. That something is not weakness, and it is not who you truly are. It is simply the weight of unchallenged doubt, and today, that weight begins to lift. Confidence is not a gift handed to a chosen few. It is not a trait reserved for the loudest or the most charismatic. It is a state of being that belongs to you, waiting to be unlocked. The truth is, every single person you admire once doubted themselves. Every leader, every artist, every athlete has felt fear, hesitation, and insecurity. The difference is not that they were fearless, it is that they moved forward anyway. And if you have ever felt small, unseen, or unheard, know this. You are standing at the same threshold they once faced, and the only step that matters is the one you take now. Think about the moments you let slip away, the conversation you avoided, the opportunity you did not chase, the words you kept locked inside because you thought they weren't enough. Those moments don't define you. They are not proof of weakness. They are reminders of the power still sleeping within you, power that only needs one decision to awaken. Confidence is not about never being afraid. It is about deciding that fear will not be the one making choices for you anymore. This video is not just a collection of words. It is a mirror that shows you the person you already are beneath the noise of self-doubt. If you keep listening, you will not just hear ideas. You will feel something shifting inside you, something real, something alive. Because by the end of this, you will see that confidence is not distant. It is not unreachable. It is closer than you think, already within your grasp, waiting to be claimed. Stay with me, because in these moments together, you will learn why your doubts have never been proof that you are broken. You will discover why your hesitation has never been a sign that you are weak. And most importantly, you will walk away knowing that your next step, whether big or small, will carry more strength, more courage, and more belief than any step you have taken before. Confidence is not found by running from who you are. It is found by embracing yourself fully, even the parts you think are not enough. You are not here by accident. You pressed play because something inside you is ready to rise, ready to break the cycle of hesitation, ready to claim the life you have always imagined but never fully stepped into. This is your moment. This is your turning point. And by the time you reach the end, you will no longer be asking if you can be confident. You will know, without a doubt, that you already are. Confidence is often treated like a mystery, as if some people are simply born with it while others are destined to live without. But that is the greatest lie you have ever been told. Confidence is not magic, and it is not luck. It is built. It is created through choices, repeated until they become who you are. When you see someone who walks with certainty, who speaks without hesitation, you are not looking at a gift they were handed at birth. You are witnessing a skill they carved into themselves through practice, through persistence, through refusing to let fear be the author of their story. The truth is, confidence is not a personality trait. It is not about being extroverted or loud. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not. Real confidence is alignment. It is standing in your own skin, accepting who you are, and knowing you can face what comes. That means confidence is not a finish line. It is a process, one you can step into right now. Every action you take that goes against your doubt becomes a brick in the foundation of confidence. Every time you speak when your voice wants to hide. Every time you move forward when your body wants to freeze. Every time you choose to try when failure feels possible. You grow stronger, steadier, and more certain. Think about how the mind works. When you repeat an action, your brain builds pathways. It begins to associate effort with possibility instead of fear. What once felt terrifying becomes familiar. What once made your heart race now becomes a space where you feel alive. This is how confidence is formed, not in grand moments of instant transformation, but in consistent acts of courage that add up until you cannot remember a time you lived in the shadows. Do not wait for confidence to come before you act. Waiting is the trap that has kept you stuck. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. The person you want to become is not sitting in the distance waiting for you to finally feel ready. That person is built through the steps you take while you still feel afraid. Courage first, confidence second. The sooner you step forward, the sooner your fear shrinks, because fear cannot survive repeated action. If you have ever told yourself you are not confident, Understand this. It is not a permanent state. It is a temporary mindset, one that changes the moment you challenge it. Confidence is not a gift you hope to find. It is a muscle you train. And just like any muscle, it grows when you use it. It weakens only when you neglect it, which means right now, even if you feel unsure, you are capable of building unstoppable confidence. Every confident person you admire has been where you are. They have doubted themselves. They have hesitated. They have stumbled. But they learned that confidence is nothing more than the repeated choice to show up, even when it is hard. And the more they showed up, the more natural it became. You are no different. You hold the same potential. You carry the same ability. The only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is the belief that you must wait until you are ready. You do not need to wait. You only need to begin. And once you begin, you will realize that confidence was never missing. It was always inside you, waiting for the moment you finally decided to claim it. Confidence shapes the quality of your life in ways you may not even realize. It is the invisible force that determines the opportunities you take, the relationships you build, the risks you embrace, and the limits you break. With confidence, you step into rooms differently. You speak with clarity. You carry yourself in a way that makes others listen. Without it, doors close before you even knock, not because you lack ability, but because doubt convinces you not to try. Confidence is not just about feeling good. It is about living fully. It is the difference between watching life from the sidelines and stepping onto the field to play. Psychology shows us that people respond to confidence more than competence. This means you don't have to be the most skilled, the most experienced, or the most intelligent to succeed. You only need to believe in your ability enough to show up fully. When you believe in yourself, others begin to believe too. Confidence is contagious. It radiates from you and influences how people treat you, how much trust they place in you, and how much respect you earn. Think about that. By simply carrying yourself with certainty, you change how the world responds to you. Every aspect of your life is touched by this force. In your career, confidence pushes you to apply for the job, to ask for the raise, to present your ideas instead of hiding them. In your relationships, it allows you to speak your truth, set boundaries, and attract people who value you. In your personal growth, it fuels your willingness to take risks, to learn new skills, to try again when you fail. Even your health is affected. Studies show that confidence reduces stress, strengthens resilience, and gives you the motivation to keep improving. When you strengthen your confidence, you don't just feel better, you live better. Think about the moments when you lacked it. How many times did you stay quiet while opportunity passed by? How many times did you let someone else's voice dominate because you felt yours didn't matter? How many dreams did you bury because you doubted you could make them real? That is the cost of hesitation, and it is far greater than the cost of failure. Failure teaches you, hesitation robs you, and confidence is the cure that ends the cycle. Confidence does not mean you will never stumble. It does not mean you will never feel afraid. It means you will trust yourself to handle whatever happens. It means you will walk into uncertainty with the belief that, even if things don't go perfectly, you are strong enough to adapt, to learn, and to grow. This trust in yourself is what frees you. It unlocks the life you were meant to live, the life where you no longer hide behind excuses or shrink from challenges, but stand tall and claim the space that belongs to you. You were not created to live small. You were not designed to play it safe while others live boldly. The world needs your voice, your ideas, your presence, your energy. And the only thing standing in the way is the belief that you are not ready, not enough, not capable. That belief has lied to you long enough. Confidence is the key that breaks that lie, and once you choose to build it, everything in your life changes, not someday, but now. If confidence is the force that opens doors, then fear is the shadow that tries to keep them shut. Fear whispers in your ear at the very moment you want to rise. It tells you that you are not ready, that you might fail, that others will judge you. Doubt joins in, repeating the same lies until they feel like truth. And because the voice of fear is so familiar, you start to confuse it with your own. But it is not your voice. It is the echo of every past hesitation, every moment of insecurity, every time you let opportunity slip away. It is the noise of the mind, not the truth of who you are. Fear will always try to shrink you. It feeds on hesitation. It grows stronger when you avoid the things that challenge it. The more you hide, the louder it gets, until it convinces you that you are powerless. But the secret is this: fear is not a wall. It is a veil. It looks solid until you step through it, and the moment you do, it dissolves. Every time you confront fear, its grip weakens. Every time you face doubt, it loses authority over you. What once felt paralyzing begins to feel conquerable. The mind is wired for survival. It seeks safety, not growth. That is why fear feels so convincing. It is your brain trying to protect you from discomfort. But safety and growth cannot exist in the same space. The more you cling to safety, the smaller your life becomes. The more you embrace discomfort, the bigger your life expands. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signpost that you are stepping into territory where you will grow. And when you begin to see fear not as an enemy, but as proof that you are moving in the right direction, everything changes. Think about the power of reframing. When you feel nervous before speaking, your body is not telling you that you are weak. It is preparing you for action. Your heart beats faster, your breath quickens, your mind sharpens. These are not symptoms of failure. They are the signs that your body is ready to perform. Fear is energy, and when you channel it, it fuels you instead of stopping you. The greatest performers, athletes, and leaders feel fear too, but they have learned to ride the wave instead of resisting it. The more you avoid fear, the more it grows. The more you face it, the smaller it becomes. It is like a shadow, dark and overwhelming until you step closer and realize it has no substance. And once you know this, you can never be fooled again. You begin to see fear for what it really is, an invitation to grow stronger, to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Doubt will always try to convince you to wait until you are ready. But readiness is not something you find. It is something you create by stepping into the very things that scare you. Every time you act despite fear, you are training your mind to trust you, and that trust is the root of confidence. That trust is what allows you to stand tall when others shrink, to keep going when others quit, to claim the life you once thought was out of reach. Fear will not disappear, but you will rise above it, and when you do, you will realize that it never had the power. It was always you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it. Every time you act with courage, your brain records the experience, reshapes the patterns of doubt, and builds new pathways that make confidence more natural. Science shows us that repeated exposure to challenge rewires the nervous system. What once triggered panic begins to trigger strength. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Courage is the spark that begins this rewiring process, and each spark you create builds a fire that cannot be put out. Think of how the body responds to stress. The same biological response that fuels fear can also fuel courage. Your heart races, your breath quickens, your adrenaline rises. Not because you are weak, but because your body is preparing for action. Courage is choosing to channel that energy instead of resisting it. And when you do, the brain learns that you are safe in discomfort. Over time, situations that once filled you with anxiety become opportunities where you feel alive. This is not theory, it is the science of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow through new experiences. Every courageous act, no matter how small, plants a seed of confidence. When you speak up in a meeting, when you raise your hand, when you take that first step into the unknown, you are teaching your brain that you can handle more than it thought. These small acts accumulate, and soon they transform how you see yourself. You stop identifying with fear and start identifying with strength. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust is the foundation of unshakable confidence. The greatest trap is believing that courage must be enormous to count, but real change begins with small acts repeated consistently. You do not need to climb a mountain tomorrow. You only need to take one step today. That step could be a conversation you have been avoiding, a chance you have been delaying, a truth you have been holding back. When you choose to act, even in the smallest way, you weaken fear and strengthen courage. Research proves that the brain responds powerfully to incremental progress. Each success releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and reward. This chemical shift reinforces the behavior, making it easier to act again. That is why courage compounds. Each act builds momentum. Each moment of bravery makes the next one easier. And before you know it, courage becomes who you are, not just something you do. Confidence is not built in silence or waiting. It is built in motion. Every bold step, every risk taken, every time you move while fear tells you to stop, you reshape your identity. You become the kind of person who acts. And when you see yourself as someone who acts, confidence is inevitable. Courage is the gateway. It is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. And that bridge is crossed not in one giant leap, but in steady steps, each one breaking down the old patterns of hesitation and building new patterns of belief. Your brain, your body, your identity, all of it changes when you choose courage. And with each choice, fear loses its grip, while your confidence becomes unstoppable. Action is the force that transforms fear into strength. You cannot think your way into confidence, and you cannot wait for the perfect moment to arrive. The perfect moment is an illusion, a lie the mind creates to keep you safe in hesitation. Confidence is born in the very act of doing. The step you take today, no matter how uncertain, carries more power than 1,000 hours of waiting for readiness. Action is the antidote to doubt, and once you understand this, hesitation loses its control over you. When you act, something powerful happens inside your brain. The cycle of overthinking breaks. Instead of drowning in endless what-ifs, you experience reality. You learn from it. You adapt to it. You grow through it. Action pulls you out of the prison of your mind and puts you back into the world where growth happens. You cannot build confidence in theory. You build it in practice, in movement, in showing up again and again, until your actions become proof of your strength. Even the smallest action can shatter the weight of self-doubt. A phone call you were afraid to make, a word you were afraid to say, a step you were afraid to take. Once it's done, you realize the fear was louder in your head than in reality. The mind creates barriers that crumble the moment you step through them. Every time you move, even trembling, you reclaim a piece of power that was always yours. Action also creates evidence, and evidence is what convinces your mind to believe. Each time you do what you thought you couldn't, you create a memory your brain cannot ignore. You prove to yourself that you are capable, and the more proof you collect, the less room fear has to argue. Doubt thrives on uncertainty, but action replaces uncertainty with truth. The truth is not in your fears. The truth is in your actions. Think about this. The people you admire for their confidence are not fearless. They are active. They step forward when others freeze. They act when others wait. That is what sets them apart. And the same power lives inside you. The moment you stop waiting for the right feeling and start acting despite the wrong one, you step into the same category of people who change their lives, who rise above excuses, who refuse to let hesitation write their story. The beauty of action is that it compounds. One bold move creates momentum. That momentum builds energy. That energy carries you into the next decision, the next opportunity, the next step forward. Soon you look back and realize that the person who once doubted every move has been replaced by someone who acts with certainty, not because fear disappeared, but because you prove to yourself again and again that you are stronger than it. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you earn through action. And every action you take is a declaration. I am capable. I am worthy. I am ready. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to wait for the perfect conditions. You only need to move. And once you move, confidence follows like a shadow, always behind you, always growing, always reminding you that the power you were searching for was in your hands all along. The way you speak to yourself shapes the limits of your confidence more than anything else. The mind is always listening, always recording, always building an identity from the words you repeat. If you tell yourself you are weak, your brain will look for proof. If you tell yourself you are not ready, it will collect reasons to confirm it. But the same principle works in your favor. When you begin to feed your mind with empowering thoughts, when you choose words that affirm your strength, your brain rewires itself to believe you are capable. Self-talk is not just a habit, it is the blueprint of who you become. Psychology has proven that the human mind does not easily distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. When you speak with belief, your body and emotions respond as if it is truth. This is why negative self-talk is so destructive. Every time you say I can't, you are rehearsing failure before you even begin. But the opposite is just as powerful. When you tell yourself I can, when you repeat I am strong, when you affirm I am enough, you are programming your subconscious to move in alignment with those words. You are giving yourself the mental fuel to step forward, even when fear is present. Think about how often the voice in your head has stopped you. It is not always the world that holds you back. It is the quiet repetition of your own doubts, running in the background like a broken record. That voice says, don't try, don't speak, don't risk it. And when you listen, you hand over your power. But you have the ability to change that voice. You can interrupt it. You can replace it. You can decide, from this moment, that your self-talk will become the strongest source of encouragement in your life. not the greatest source of limitation. The shift begins with awareness. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I'm not good enough," replace it with, "I'm growing stronger every day." Every time you hear the whisper of "I will fail," answer it with "I will learn" and rise. These are not empty words, they are commands to your nervous system. They are signals that direct your focus, your energy, and your actions. Over time, this new dialogue becomes your default. The old voice of doubt grows quieter, and the voice of belief grows louder until it becomes the only one you hear. Confidence is not only built by what you do, it is built by what you say to yourself when no one else is around. The conversations in your mind matter more than the opinions of the crowd, because no matter how much support you receive from others, if your inner dialogue tears you down, you will always struggle to rise. But if your self-talk builds you up, if it reminds you of your strength, if it encourages you when no one else does, then nothing outside of you can shake the foundation of your confidence. You are the author of the voice you listen to. You have the power to silence the critic and amplify the coach. And once you do, you stop living as the victim of your doubts and start living as the champion of your own mind. Speak to yourself with the respect, the encouragement, and the belief that you deserve. Because the words you choose today will become the identity you live tomorrow. Failure is not the enemy of confidence. It is the teacher that builds it. Every person you have ever admired for their strength, their courage, or their success has failed more times than you can imagine. The difference is that they did not let failure define them. They used it. They turned each setback into proof that they were still standing, still learning, still capable of moving forward. Confidence is not about avoiding mistakes. It is about knowing that no mistake has the power to end you. When you fail, you are not exposed as weak. You are exposed as someone who dared to try. That act alone separates you from the millions who never move because they fear the discomfort of falling short. Failure is evidence of courage. It is the price of growth. And each time you experience it, you gain something far greater than perfection: resilience. Resilience is the armor of confidence. It tells you that no matter how many times you stumble, you will rise again, stronger than before. The mind often tricks you into believing that failure proves you are not enough. But psychology shows the opposite. People who allow themselves to fail, to experiment, to take risks, actually develop deeper confidence because they know they can survive setbacks. They build what is called a growth mindset, the belief that abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through effort and persistence. With this mindset, failure stops being an end and becomes a stepping stone. Every wrong turn becomes feedback. Every misstep becomes guidance. And this perspective frees you from the paralyzing need to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of confidence. The pursuit of it keeps you from acting, keeps you from risking, keeps you from living. But when you embrace failure as part of the process, you no longer wait until conditions are flawless. You step forward now. You act now. You learn as you go. And each time you fall and rise, your belief in yourself deepens because you have evidence that nothing can truly stop you. Think about how children learn to walk. They fall over and over, yet each fall is progress. Each failure strengthens their balance, their muscles, their awareness. They do not give up after stumbling. They rise because instinctively they know that falling is part of walking. Somewhere along the way, you forgot this truth. You began to treat failure as proof of inadequacy instead of progress. But the reality has not changed. Falling is still learning. And the more you allow yourself to stumble, the more unstoppable you become. Confidence is not built by flawless success. It is built by refusing to stay down when you fail. Every scar becomes a symbol of strength. Every mistake becomes a lesson carved into your character. Every setback becomes another reminder that you are not fragile. You are resilient. Failure is not the opposite of confidence. It is the foundation of it. The moment you stop fearing failure is the moment you unlock freedom. Because if failure cannot break you, nothing can. And when nothing can break you, you become unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniably confident in your ability to face whatever comes. Confidence does not appear in one giant leap. It grows from the ground up, built on the accumulation of small wins that prove to you, over and over, that you are capable. These victories may seem insignificant in the moment, but they carry power far beyond their size. Each time you complete a task you once avoided, each time you keep a promise to yourself, each time you take even a single step forward, you create undeniable evidence that you can trust yourself. And that trust is the seed of confidence. The human brain thrives on progress. Psychology shows us that even the smallest achievement releases dopamine, the chemical of reward and motivation. This is why a small win has the power to ignite momentum. It tells your mind, I can, I did, I will again. And when you stack enough of these wins together, you begin to shift your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who doubts and start seeing yourself as someone who delivers. Confidence is not just a feeling. It is the accumulation of proof that you are reliable, resilient, and capable of growth. Too often, people wait for massive breakthroughs, believing confidence will come only after grand accomplishments. But waiting for the big moment is what keeps you stuck. The truth is, confidence is created in the quiet victories most people overlook. Waking up when you said you would, finishing the task you promised yourself you'd complete, choosing courage in a conversation when it would have been easier to stay silent. These may feel small, but each one strengthens the foundation you stand on. And when the foundation is strong, the bigger steps no longer feel impossible. Imagine confidence as a tower. Every action, every promise kept, every win, no matter how small, adds another brick. The tower doesn't appear overnight, but with each layer, it rises taller, stronger, unshakable. When challenges come, when storms hit, the tower doesn't collapse because it was not built in a day. It was built through the steady discipline of stacking wins, and you have the ability to start stacking today. Small wins also combat the inner critic. Doubt thrives when you forget your victories and focus only on your shortcomings. But when you collect wins, when you see evidence of your progress, the critic loses ground. You cannot argue with proof. When you look back and see how far you've come, when you realize you've already overcome challenges you once thought were impossible, you start to believe in your strength on a deeper level. That belief carries you into every new challenge with courage instead of hesitation. This is the path to unstoppable confidence, one step, one win, one choice at a time. Do not underestimate the power of momentum. What begins with a single action today can grow into a wave of change that transforms your life tomorrow. You do not need to wait for a breakthrough. You only need to create a win right now. Because once you prove to yourself that you can, your mind begins to expect success. And when your mind expects success, confidence becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The people and environments you surround yourself with have more influence on your confidence than you may realize. Every word you hear, every energy you absorb, every environment you place yourself in either strengthens or weakens your belief in yourself. Confidence is not built in isolation. It is shaped by the spaces you choose to inhabit and the voices you choose to listen to. If you stand among those who constantly doubt, criticize, and belittle, your mind begins to echo their doubts as your own. But if you place yourself among those who uplift, encourage, and believe in growth, your mind learns to echo belief instead. Your environment is a mirror. It reflects back to you what you begin to see as normal. If negativity surrounds you, insecurity feels natural. If courage surrounds you, bravery feels natural. Human beings are wired for adaptation. We take cues from the people and spaces around us. This is why confidence flourishes when you intentionally curate your environment. It is not about perfection. It is about choosing what fuels you instead of what drains you. Think about the power of influence. When someone near you believes in you, even before you believe in yourself, it sparks a shift inside. Encouragement is contagious. Courage is contagious. So is doubt. So is fear. The key is deciding which contagion you allow into your life. If you want to build unshakable confidence, you must protect your environment as fiercely as you protect your dreams. Guard it from constant criticism, toxic comparisons, and voices that want to keep you small. Fill it with reminders of growth, with people who push you higher, with energy that lifts instead of lowers. But it is not only about people. The media you consume, the habits you repeat, the places you spend your time, all of it writes the script of your self-belief. If you constantly feed your mind stories of limitation, failure, or negativity, do not be surprised when your inner dialogue reflects the same. If you feed your mind stories of courage, triumph, and persistence, you will begin to internalize those scripts as your own. Your confidence will rise in alignment with what you consistently expose yourself to. You cannot always control the world around you, but you can control what you allow to influence your mind and heart. This means making deliberate choices, choosing to spend time with people who see potential in you, choosing to consume information that inspires growth, choosing to build habits that reinforce strength rather than weakness. Every choice you make in your environment is either a deposit into your confidence or a withdrawal from it. And when you look at it this way, you realize how much power you already hold. Confidence does not grow in a vacuum. It grows in soil that is rich with encouragement, challenge, and belief. If you want to rise, plant yourself where growth is the standard, not the exception. Place yourself in environments that remind you daily that you are capable, worthy, and strong. Because just as a seed cannot thrive in poisoned ground, your confidence cannot thrive in toxic surroundings. But when the ground is healthy, when the environment is right, growth becomes unstoppable, and in that environment, your confidence will not only rise, it will flourish beyond what you once believed possible. Your body speaks before your words ever do. Long before you open your mouth, your posture, your breathing, your movement all sends signals to the world, and more importantly, to yourself. Confidence is not only a state of mind, it is a state of body. When you stand tall, when you breathe deeply, when you hold your head high, your physiology sends a message to your brain that you are safe, that you are strong, that you are in control. And the brain responds by creating the emotions that match the posture you embody. This is why shrinking your body, lowering your head, collapsing your shoulders, or keeping your voice small makes you feel powerless. Your body is signaling defeat, and your mind follows. But when you shift your physical presence, everything changes. Straighten your spine, open your chest, ground your feet firmly beneath you, and your nervous system immediately begins to calm. Your breath slows, your thoughts steady. What felt overwhelming only moments ago suddenly feels manageable. This is not imagination, it is biology. The body and mind are inseparable, constantly communicating, constantly influencing one another. Confidence can be trained through the body just as much as through the mind. Athletes know this, performers know this, leaders know this. They use their body to regulate their state before stepping into critical moments. They adjust their breathing, their stance, their gestures, because they understand that how you hold yourself determines how you hold your life. And you can use this same power in every moment of your own. Something as simple as slowing your breath has the power to quiet anxiety. Deep, intentional breathing signals to your nervous system that you are not in danger, that you are in control. It turns fear into focus. Something as simple as raising your head and holding eye contact communicates strength, both to others and to yourself. Something as simple as moving with purpose instead of hesitation rewires your identity in real time. These are not tricks, they are tools. They are the direct link between your physical state and your emotional power. If you doubt yourself, change your posture. If you feel fear rising, change your breath. If you feel invisible, change your presence. Do not underestimate the influence of these shifts. The body is the gateway to confidence because it bypasses the endless chatter of the mind. While the mind questions, the body acts, and once the body acts, the mind follows. When you begin to master this, you carry yourself differently everywhere you go. People notice the difference, but more importantly, you notice the difference. You feel stronger, not just in moments of success, but in the everyday rhythm of life. Confidence stops being something you chase and starts being something you live, because every movement, every gesture, every breath becomes a declaration. I am here. I am capable. I am ready. Your body is not separate from your confidence. It is one of its greatest allies. Use it, train it, align it with the version of yourself you are becoming. And you will discover that confidence is not only in your thoughts, it is in the way you stand, the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you exist in the world. Confidence grows strongest when it is tested, not when it is comfortable. Avoiding discomfort keeps you trapped in the same cycle of hesitation, while stepping into it teaches your mind and body that you are capable of handling far more than you once believed. Every moment of fear, every situation that makes your heart race and your palms sweat, is an invitation. It is not a sign to retreat, it is a signal to expand. The discomfort you feel is not a barrier, it is the birthplace of confidence. When you lean into what scares you, you show yourself proof that fear does not have the final word. You begin to rewrite the script in your head that says, I can't, and replace it with, I can, and I will. Each time you face the thing you want to avoid, you chip away at the old identity that holds you back. You are not defined by your fear, you are defined by your decision to act in spite of it. That decision builds evidence, and evidence builds belief. This is how confidence becomes unshakable, through repeated experiences of overcoming what once seemed impossible. The mind has a way of exaggerating threats, making challenges seem larger than they really are. It does this to protect you, But when you act anyway, when you step forward into the storm, the illusion breaks. You realize the situation was never as overwhelming as it appeared. You realize that your strength is greater than you imagined. And with each realization, your self-trust deepens. You no longer need constant reassurance, because you have your own track record of courage to rely on. Think about the power of repetition. The first time you step into discomfort, it feels unbearable. The second time, it still feels hard, but something shifts. You are less surprised by the fear. By the third, fourth, and fifth time, what once felt terrifying now feels normal. Confidence is not built by avoiding fear, but by normalizing it, by proving to yourself again and again that fear is not fatal. It is fuel. Every time you face it, you transform it into power. There is no growth in safety. The comfort zone might feel secure, but it silently robs you of your potential. It tells you to stay the same when your soul is begging you to expand. It whispers that you are not ready when the truth is you become ready by stepping forward. The life you want will never be found in retreat. It is waiting on the other side of your willingness to endure the discomfort of becoming someone greater than you are today. So ask yourself, where are you holding back? What opportunities are you avoiding because fear disguises them as danger? Those are the exact moments designed to build your confidence. They are not curses, they are gifts. They are doorways into a stronger, bolder, freer version of yourself. And the longer you delay walking through them, the longer you delay meeting the version of you who no longer doubts, who no longer hides, who no longer hesitates. Confidence is born in action, and action is often uncomfortable. But if you can embrace that discomfort, if you can welcome it as the sign that you are moving toward growth, you will discover the deepest truth of all, that fear was never your enemy, it was always your teacher. And in listening to it, facing it, and overcoming it, you become unstoppable. Confidence becomes unshakable when you learn to master your inner dialogue. Every word you speak to yourself either builds you up or tears you down. The mind is always listening, and the messages you repeat shape your identity. If you constantly tell yourself you are not enough, that you will fail, that others are better, you are programming your brain to accept weakness as truth. But when you consciously choose words of strength, when you affirm your ability, your worth, and your resilience, you rewire your mind to believe in you. And when the mind believes, the body follows, the actions follow, and the results follow. The science of the brain shows us that thought patterns create pathways. The more often you think a thought, the stronger that pathway becomes. Repetition carves it deeper until it feels automatic, natural, unquestionable. That is why negative self-talk is so damaging. It strengthens the neural circuits of doubt. But the same mechanism makes confidence possible. Every positive statement, every declaration of power, every time you tell yourself, I can, or I will, you are laying down tracks in your brain that make courage your default state. You are teaching yourself to respond to challenge with strength instead of fear. This is not about pretending. It is not about repeating empty phrases you don't believe. It is about choosing language that aligns with the truth of your potential, even if you have not fully lived it yet. Confidence is built by speaking as the person you are becoming, not the person you are leaving behind. When you tell yourself, I am learning, I am growing, I am capable, you begin to embody those truths, slowly at first, then powerfully, until they are no longer affirmations, but realities. The voice in your head can be your greatest enemy, or it can be your greatest ally. The choice is yours. Every time doubt speaks, you can counter it with truth. Every time fear whispers, you can answer with courage. You do not silence the voice of negativity by fighting it. You silence it by overwhelming it with a stronger voice, your own. And the more you practice, the louder, clearer, and more dominant that voice becomes. Imagine the difference in how you move through the world when your inner voice is on your side. Instead of attacking you, it supports you. Instead of holding you back, it pushes you forward. Instead of saying you can't, it says, you must, and you will. That shift alone transforms hesitation into momentum. Because the mind does not only reflect reality, it creates it. What you tell yourself becomes the foundation of how you feel, how you act, and who you become. Every confident person you admire built that confidence not only in what they did, but in what they said to themselves along the way. They trained their minds to believe in their strength, and that belief fueled every step. You have the same power. Every word you speak to yourself is a seed. Plant weakness, and weakness will grow. Plant strength, and strength will rise. Speak with power, and power will become your nature. Confidence is not a gift granted to the lucky, it is a language you choose to practice every day. The more you speak it, the more fluent you become. And soon, you realize that the voice inside you is no longer filled with doubt, it is filled with conviction. It no longer questions your worth, it declares it. And when that becomes your reality, the world has no choice but to see the confidence you already know you carry within. Confidence grows stronger when you learn to act before you feel ready. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect mindset only reinforces hesitation. True confidence is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move despite it. Every time you take action when your mind tells you to wait, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you, and that proof becomes fuel, carving certainty into your identity. The mind loves comfort because comfort feels safe, but safety often comes at the cost of growth. If you stay only where you feel secure, your confidence never expands, because it never gets tested. Confidence is forged in discomfort. It is born in the moments you step into the unknown. When your heart races, your palms sweat, and your voice shakes. These are not signs that you are weak, they are signs that you are alive, standing at the edge of possibility. And when you step forward anyway, that edge becomes a new foundation. Science confirms that exposure rewires fear. The more often you face what intimidates you, the less intimidating it becomes. Your nervous system adapts, your brain recalibrates, and what once paralyzed you now feels manageable. This is why action is the cure for doubt. Not endless preparation, not waiting until you feel fearless, but immediate, deliberate steps. Each one rewrites your self-image. Each one reinforces the truth that you are capable of more than you thought. Confidence compounds like interest. One small act of courage today becomes momentum tomorrow. That momentum fuels bigger risks, bolder moves, stronger beliefs. Before long, the situations that used to overwhelm you now feel natural, even easy. And with each victory, your mind collects evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you can rise. Evidence that you are more powerful than the fear that tried to hold you back. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to change your relationship with it. Fear is not your enemy. It is energy, raw and intense, waiting to be directed. You can let it freeze you, or you can channel it into action. The same adrenaline that fuels panic can also fuel performance. The same surge that makes you doubt can also sharpen your focus. Confidence is not found in trying to erase fear, it is found in harnessing it. Think of how unstoppable you become when fear no longer signals retreat, but signals readiness. When you feel nerves and know they mean you are stretching, growing, and becoming stronger. When you see discomfort not as danger, but as proof you are on the right path. This shift turns moments of hesitation into opportunities for transformation. It changes the way you see challenges. They no longer feel like threats, they feel like training grounds for greatness. Every confident person you admire has walked through the fire of fear. They were not immune to doubt, they were not born fearless. They simply decided to move anyway, and in moving, they built unshakable belief in themselves. You have that same decision before you every day, to wait and let fear win, or to act and let confidence grow. Each time you choose action, no matter how small, you step closer to becoming unstoppable. And when you live this way, you discover that confidence is not something you chase, it is something you create. It is the natural byproduct of consistent courage. It is not reserved for a chosen few. It belongs to anyone willing to act, especially when fear tells them not to. That includes you. Confidence deepens when you realize it is not about being flawless, but about being authentic. The pressure to appear perfect is one of the greatest traps of insecurity. You are told to always look strong, to never make mistakes, to never stumble. But that illusion creates chains around your growth, because perfection is impossible, and chasing it only fuels self-doubt. Real confidence comes from dropping the mask and owning who you truly are without apology. When you accept yourself, flaws and all, you take away fear's sharpest weapon. Fear thrives on the belief that you are not enough. It whispers that you must hide, that you must wait until you are smarter, stronger, or more successful before you can step forward. But when you choose self-acceptance, that whisper loses its power. You no longer need permission. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. Confidence emerges when you stop pretending and start embracing your truth. People often mistake confidence for arrogance, but the two are worlds apart. Arrogance is loud because it is insecure. It needs constant validation to cover emptiness. Confidence is quiet because it is rooted in certainty. It does not need to prove, it simply knows. You build that certainty by consistently showing up as yourself, unapologetically. When your words and actions align with your values, when you stop chasing approval and start living your truth, confidence becomes unshakable. Psychologists call this congruence, the alignment between your inner world and your outer behavior. The more congruent you are, the more at peace you feel, and peace is powerful. It allows you to walk into any room without the weight of pretending, without the fear of being exposed. Confidence does not mean you believe everyone will like you. It means you are okay even if they don't. It means your worth is no longer fragile, no longer dependent on outside acceptance. This shift is liberating. It frees your energy. Instead of wasting time worrying about what others think, you channel that energy into growth, into creation, into becoming stronger. Your focus moves from impressing to expressing, from performing to becoming. And the more you live in this state, the more magnetic you become, because authenticity is rare and people are drawn to it. They feel it when someone is genuine. They trust it, and that trust amplifies your influence, your opportunities, your relationships. The irony is that by trying to impress others, you shrink. By trying to prove yourself, you actually weaken your confidence. But by letting go of the need to prove, you rise. This is not weakness, it is strength. It is standing tall in your imperfections, and knowing they do not disqualify you, they define you. Confidence is not about being more than others, it is about being fully yourself. Every time you stop hiding, every time you speak your truth even when your voice shakes, every time you refuse to shrink to fit someone else's expectations, you grow stronger. That strength becomes part of your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to become confident. You see yourself as someone who already is. And that belief changes everything. Confidence is not waiting for the world to validate you. Confidence is deciding that you are already worthy, already capable, already enough. And when you live from that place, nothing outside of you can shake it.